Hyun-jun arrives saying he missed the protagonist and therefore decided to return to Korea to win her back. Then, Sung-hyo, who was about to talk about what he had felt almost his entire life for her, begins to question Hyun-jun's presence and tries to push him away. However, as soon as the protagonist's family appears, it's over, and the former couple is dragged home, leaving only Sung-hyo behind. After feeding her former son-in-law, Mi-suk begins questioning Hyun-jun. We then discover that the protagonist had indeed lied about cheating on him, which was the only thing stopping the lady from wanting to end the man. Now, in Mi-suk's view, the breakup of the marriage was his fault. This prompts Suk-ryu to quickly take Hyun-jun out of the place. Meanwhile, Sung-hyo and Moum were drinking when suddenly, after hearing his friend whining and getting tired of his words, she lets slip that she knows about the man's past love for the protagonist. Moum also adds that he should act quickly and that only Sung-hyo can save himself from this kept secret. Later, Suk-ryu decides to sleep at Moum's house, and in the middle of the night, while unable to sleep, the two begin discussing the protagonist's ex-fiancé. Suk-ryu's feelings for the man are complicated. She cherishes the time and achievements they shared but feels it's time to end the relationship. The next day, Mi-suk begins her plan to reunite her daughter and former son-in-law, so she forces Suk-ryu to leave the house more dressed up and texts the man to have him wait for her. However, Mi-suk didn't count on Sung-hyo also waiting for Suk-ryu, giving the protagonist the perfect excuse to escape Hyun-jun. Meanwhile, Moum goes into rescue mode after witnessing an accident during her lunch break, and since Yeon-do was there with her father at that moment, the little girl starts admiring Moum, slightly changing her view of the woman who had scolded her father that day at the hospital. Thus, Moum ends up spending the rest of her day with the father and daughter and consequently realizes her feelings for the man. Returning to the protagonist, in the evening, while going out for some air, she bumps into Sung-hyo, and as he decides to accompany her, he takes advantage of the moment alone to confess his feelings for her. Suk-ryu kind of expected this after reading that letter. However, she was honest when she explained that her life is a mess right now, so she doesn't want to ruin a relationship that could be the best thing to ever happen to her at another time. Thus, Suk-ryu asks for some time to respond to Sung-hyo's feelings, but she makes it clear that she doesn't want to get back with her ex-fiancé, in case that worries him. The next day is Sung-hyo's mother's birthday, but she spends the day waiting to receive something from her son and husband, which unfortunately took a while to arrive. Anyway, in the evening, Hae-suk was very happy when her friends threw her a surprise party. But we viewers also see that her husband had planned to give her flowers. However, after seeing his wife talking outside the house with her colleague, with whom she supposedly had an affair, at least that's what the story suggests, he decided against celebrating with Hae-suk. Sung-hyo even leaves a beautiful necklace for his mother on her dresser, but he didn't realize it was identical to one she already had. Nonetheless, she is very happy to be remembered by her beloved son. Focusing back on the protagonist, she ends up having lunch with her ex-fiancé after he pleaded a lot, and Sung-hyo is at a table nearby with Tae-hui. It's clearly written all over Sung-hyo's face that he is full of jealousy seeing them together, especially when Hyun-jun starts praising the protagonist and commenting on how much he missed her. Later that day, Sung-hyo decides to reflect around the pool of his old school. The place became even more comforting after discovering he won the renovation contest. The next day, Moum is surprised to find Dan-ho at her work. It turns out that the journalist decided to write an article about the real work of rescuers day to day, and he will accompany her. Meanwhile, Suk-ryu and Sung-hyo decided that the deadline for the protagonist to give her answer about her feelings toward him will be 11 days. This decision was actually made based on the shortest expiration date of milk they found at the convenience store. Later, we see that Hyun-jun changed his strategy to win the protagonist over. Now he decides to redo some steps from the beginning of their relationship, like bringing her the first drink he bought her, which is jasmine tea. Suk-ryu continues with her cooking classes. However, when she was leaving the school, her mother saw her, and as soon as she got home, her father, along with her mother, confronted her. Gunsik ended up calling his daughter an intelligent fool upon hearing her say she wanted to pursue this field. Now, it seems they finally understood, even if they don't like or agree with it, that she wants to live in Korea permanently. Until then, they both thought it was a temporary phase and that Sukryu would soon return to working in her field, putting all her knowledge to use. Taking advantage of this conversation, Sukryu decided to express what she had kept inside for all these years about the different treatment she received compared to her brother. Since he was born with a small hole in his heart, which healed as he grew, her brother was always treated like a fragile doll, which meant no one ever said no to him. So, growing up with this treatment, Sukryu thought she should always do her best and take care of herself, so as not to bring more worries to the family. But even after years and her brother no longer having this problem, her parents continue to be unfair to her. Later, Sukryu left the house upset, and Sunghyo, who was in the living room during the argument, decided to take his friend for a walk to de-stress. He tried to help her understand her parents' side, even though she wasn't entirely wrong in her perspectives. In the end, he offered her the kitchen at his company to practice her culinary skills. Thus, the next day after her class, Sukryu headed to Sunghyo's company. However, Hyunjun soon appeared, and he decided he wanted to hire Sunghyo's team for his parents' house project in Korea. Obviously, Sunghyo didn't like this idea, and as soon as they were alone, he told Hyunjun to stop pursuing Sukryu, as he knows from what his friend shared that she wants to leave their relationship in the past. However, Hyunjun isn't willing to give up, as we can already tell, and now that he understands he has a competitor, things might get a bit more dramatic. Amidst the men's rivalry for Sukryu, while they were tasting her food, she started experiencing severe stomach pain, which resulted in Hyunjun rushing her to the hospital. When they arrive, we discover that 3 years ago the protagonist underwent stomach surgery for cancer that developed in that area. Apparently, only her ex-fiancé knows about this, and having her medical records, he was the best person to accompany her at that moment. Going back in time, we see when Hyunjun proposed to her, and at that time they seemed like a very happy couple, shortly before the cancer was discovered. As soon as Hyunjun received the news, he took a leave from work to be by his beloved's side and appeared to be a great partner during this difficult period. Sukryu didn't have the courage to tell anyone about her illness at that time, and even after recovering, she kept the secret, so the only one who understands her concern when she felt that pain again is Hyunjun. The next day, after spending the night worried and wondering if he truly knows his best friend, Sunghyo decides to take her to eat something comforting. Meanwhile, Sunghyo's parents seem to be getting along for the first time in a long while, they even shared a meal. Later, Hyunjun waits for the protagonist after her cooking class, and after they sit in a park to talk, he gives Sukryu a ticket to visit a renowned culinary college. Since she decided to pursue this path, he wishes for her to have the best education. Also in the envelope was her old engagement ring. In the next scene, we see that Danho's article has been published, and Moum spends all her free time reading and rereading the words written by her beloved. Meanwhile, our dear Sunghyo is not having a good day. Besides having issues with one of his constructions, at the end of the day, Sukryu tells him that her answer to his feelings is that they can only ever be friends. Unfortunately, the man makes it clear that even that is now over. Returning to the past, we discover that the struggle against cancer lasted longer than we imagined. When the protagonist worked with Chris, she was still ill, and the episode we thought her fiancé had cheated on her was just a misunderstanding. Anyway, the two were going through an unstable period in their relationship. Sukryu developed deep depression. We should also consider all the bad things happening at Grape at the time, and Hyunjun, despite taking very good care of her, just wanted to breathe a bit in his youth, which to him meant going to parties alone. After a painful conversation, where Hyunjun said she would drag him into the depths too, Sukryu realized their relationship was over. So, back to the conversation in the park, where he handed her the engagement ring again, we learn that Sukryu will never be completely free of the cancer, as it could return at any time. Thus, despite Hyunjun being a good partner and doing his best, the protagonist knows their relationship cannot be mended, leading to a definitive end for the couple. The next day, after being rejected by his beloved, Sung-hyo falls ill with symptoms of fever and dizziness. Therefore, Suk-ryu, who didn't take it seriously when he said they wouldn't be friends anymore, stayed by his side until he woke up. Then, while preparing a meal for Sung-hyo, after he accidentally tripped over her bag, he inadvertently saw the results of her exams, which revealed the status of her cancer. Soon, Sung-hyo is overwhelmed by emotions and the fear of losing Suk-ryu consumes him. The two come down the stairs of his house with him in disbelief about the news, and time seems to stop when they encounter the protagonist's mother, who, as soon as she realizes what they're discussing, just thinks about hugging her daughter. At that moment, I confess I cried a lot. What did you think of these episodes? I hope you enjoyed the summary. Leave your suggestions in the comments and subscribe. If you liked the video, please like and share to help me. Until next time.